Unexpected players keep turning heads at Eagles camp to the point that a breakout almost seems guaranteed. Oh, and a new Bombshell ESPN article dropped today that highlighted some Sirianni-Jalen Hurts relationship stuff that caused Jalen to get a little fired up at reporters this morning. Plus, Darius, he keeps making big plays, signing a safety that's basically off the table, and new details on if the starters will play on Friday. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. On the Eagles' QB1's 26th birthday, ESPN's Tim McManus and Jimmy Fowler dropped somewhat of a bombshell article this morning focused on explaining exactly what went down during the Birds' collapse last year. And although we're all focused on 2024, there were some pretty interesting nuggets that kind of got Jalen Hurts fired up in his presser today. Now, for instance, the relationship between Sirianni and Hurts last year, obviously it was an issue. We all kind of knew that, but the article cited one source who noted that there was never a moment last year where they were operating in a healthy relationship. Sirianni apparently took his involvement in the offense to a new level following the Super Bowl loss, to the point that Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni's relationship was confusing to say the least, with ESPN noting that Johnson was the play caller, but Sirianni would make his presence felt, sometimes overruling Johnson in real time, as he did on a critical third down and long play against the Washington Commanders in Week 4, when Johnson wanted to pass and Sirianni decided to run, which didn't pan out. The line was blurred enough that some offensive players didn't know for sure who was calling the plays, a team source told ESPN in January. And it even got to the point, apparently, where shortly after the Birds' late-season struggles against the Giants and before their wildcard playoff debacle versus the Tampa Bay Bucks, Jalen Hurts actually called then-Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale on the phone to basically ask for help in figuring out why defenses had slowed down the Birds' offense. Something Martindale noted was pretty odd, saying, quote, "I've been doing this for 40 years. It's the first time I've had an opposing quarterback call me up. Thought it was pretty cool that guy called. It showed what kind of a pro he really is. He's just looking at every angle that he can do to get better." Now, it's interesting, that little nugget there of Hurts calling Martindale was kind of the big headline stealer, went all over Twitter, and it was asked about Jalen Hurts in his press conference. Interesting how it lined up, and Hurts was very blindsided. Odd the Eagles PR team didn't warn him about the article, which released hours before the actual Hurts presser, and Hurts, he got pretty fired up and confused as to why this was being asked.
What was the key piece of advice that Wink gave you that kind of you could take into the season?
I'm curious to see where is this coming from randomly, this Wink stuff.
There was a report from ESPN this morning that said he contacted him.
Before the Bucks game.
Something so long ago. Why is that relevant now?
I didn't write it.
First we heard it
out today.
Yeah.
Who wrote it?
I wrote it.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that relevant now?
Why is it relevant?
Yeah.
Trying to give proper context from what happened last season, so we have a better understanding of where we are now.
Okay. Well, I think for certain things, I appreciate what you guys do and everything you guys bring, the attention and sometimes the understanding. I think sometimes people are only able to know what they understand. Sometimes people don't know what they don't know. But in that regard, I think, where we are is you have reports and you have rumors and then you have reality. And, we're in reality right now.
Still, though, this whole report on Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, I think, does have a silver lining. Like, both head coach and quarterback have taken a ton of accountability and focused hard on turning a brand new page this year, with Sirianni reportedly opening up April's spring all-team meeting in front of everybody in the organization by saying, "Last year was on me, on my shoulders. I didn't get it done," in what was described as a moment of vulnerability from the head coach. And the message apparently landed, and I think helped shape the turning of the page from the 2023 Eagles into this season. He took full responsibility that he felt he let the team down and didn't do a good enough job of empowering the players, a team source said. It was passionate and from the heart. Someone else said it was a breath of fresh air and showed a ton of leadership. And accountability seems to be Nick Sirianni's theme this year. He mentioned it during his press conference today, yet again, that holding himself, his teammates, his friends and family accountable is really a major theme.
And so that's what we want from this team. That's any meeting that we start out that I feel like I made a mistake on, I'm gonna make sure I bring it up. And it's not just me up there fixing corrections in front of the team after each practice, right? And I'm saying, hey, Elliot, you play wide receiver. You screwed this up. You want to play wide out? All right, Bo, you play quarterback. You screwed this. Okay, you want to be quarterback. You screwed this up. No, it's, hey, Kellen, this is not the right call. Everybody's accountable. We're all accountable, and that's the only way to get better, and I firmly believe that.
And while sure, the relationship between the head coach and quarterback, it might not be perfect right now. They might not love each other. They do plan to grow together and put the past behind them, and apparently it seems to be working.
Yeah, go through all the same processes that we go through after each year, and Jalen and I are in a really good place. Every relationship that you have needs work that with everybody, and we've always continued to try to work at that.
I think we can all agree 2023 is in the past, and bringing it up this far into the 2024 training camp, it's a little odd, but at least reminds us of how bad it got and hopefully how good it can potentially be this season. And I'm also a glass-half-full kind of guy, and so I'm hoping the struggles of 2023 are what's going to make the 2024 team into, let's just be honest, hopefully Super Bowl champions. Also, how about the winner of the Eagles ticket giveaway to, of course, the Viking game in a couple of weeks at Lincoln Financial Field? Lower bowl tickets. Well, commenter on a video, I believe it was Monday, it was Ray Husen, I think that's how you say his name, 6323. You are the winner. Send me an email down below in the description box. Prove it's you. All details are down there. Need to hear from you by Monday's show, or else I'm going to have to redraw. Now, there's been a lot of people clamoring for the Eagles to go out and sign a safety, with C.J. Gardner-Johnson continuing today to be out with his minor shoulder issue. And while plenty of us have mentioned, let's say, recently released Broncos safety Caden Stearns as maybe a free agent target, well, the Panthers claimed him off the waiver wire yesterday, so I guess RIP to signing him. And as for Justin Simmons, the man who holds the record for the most Eagles content creator headlines in an offseason, he's officially visiting with the Saints today, not Philadelphia, and the expectation is a contract will come later this afternoon. So basically, help is not coming to the Eagles secondary, and of course, Gardner-Johnson, again, he's not out for long. James Bradbury, yet again today, during their very light practice, ran with the ones at the other safety spot, opposite, of course, of Reed Blankenship, and I think he's probably going to be their option if you were to have a long-term injury at the spot. Well, I'm not saying I love the idea. All these players that the Eagles are rumored to go sign in terms of the safety spot, it's kind of all dried up. There isn't really anybody else out there. I think what you see is what you get. Now, I've been keeping my eye on a bunch of standouts so far during Eagles training camp because we focus on the superstars, and rightfully so, but who's trending upwards? Whose stock is really rising? And for instance, a couple of days ago, I spoke about friend of the show, Moro Ojomo, looking very, very impressive heading into year 2, and apparently that continues to be the case. He keeps standing out, according to reporter Andrew DeCecco, due to his extreme physical nature at the point of attack. Now, the other surprise that I've been keeping an eye on has been tight end Grant Calcaterra, who quietly the past couple of days has been taking over the number 2 tight end spot, and for instance today, Jalen found Calcaterra for a 25-yard gain due to a great route by Calcaterra, who's been having an incredible camp. He's tight end 2 right now by a wide margin according to reports. Now, Calcaterra was drafted to be one of these, great pass-catching tight ends in the mold of Dallas Goedert. You have Goedert, you bring in Calcaterra, but he's had a couple of slow seasons and not really done much. Although getting noticed by reporters is one thing, getting noticed by your teammate and tight end 1 is another.
Yeah, Grant's he's been doing his job as a tight end. He's been physical in the run game. He's been making plays in the pass game, and that's what we want to see as tight ends. Everybody wants to be that 3-down tight end that can play every snap, and he's pushing me to become better, focus on my craft, and I'm hoping I can be on the field with him a lot in Detroit this year.
Any differences in his game that you've noticed?
I think he's just getting older. When you get in the league, I would say the biggest thing that he's improved on is his patience in the route running. When you first get in the league, you just feel like you don't have that much time. You might cut your route short. You might do things like that. And he's done a good job of making sure he gets his depth, pushing it up one more step, leaning into the defender, little things like that. It's like little tools that you work on. And the more you play, the more they make sense, the more they come into you can do them more, and it's like, oh, that does work. So just him getting more reps, being out there more, and just talking through it with him, I think he's been doing a really good job of that.
Now, time will tell if Calcaterra turns into an actual legit weapon. He's not going to take away reps from tight end 1 and Dallas Goedert, but it'd be nice to have somebody behind Goedert if an injury were to happen who could fill in the role admirably. And so, adding to the list of players I'm very excited to watch on Friday's preseason game. Myself and Josh Davis will have that game live here on our channels, although a lot of you are wondering, will the starters play? And we got some bad news. Sirianni was non-committal. He didn't say they're for sure not going to play in Friday's preseason game, but he did basically say that weather could play a major factor, and what do you know, 92% chance of rain with winds gusting over 20 in Baltimore on Friday, so I wouldn't hold your breath. Now, in terms of highlights from, again, a much lighter practice today, Hurts was, again, interception-free and broke the Eagles' training camp record for consecutive throws without an interception during training camp. Not really a Super Bowl MVP, but a stat Twitter seems to really care about. Now, one of those throws was his Eagles' lone touchdown over the middle to Dallas Goedert, with yet again Nakobe Dean in bad coverage here. Not a good look for him. And his linebacker counterpart Jeremiah Trotter Jr. made another nice play in the red zone to keep Tyrion Davis-Price out of the end zone. Also, how about Big Play Slay? We haven't mentioned a lot of him so far during training camp, but according to reports, he's had a really good overall camp, including a nice pass breakup of what would have been a touchdown earlier today. Worth noting, Slay told reporters this has easily been the hardest training camp he's ever been a part of.
Shoot, man, it's been real. It's been real now. It's been one of the hardest training camps by far as an Eagle. But it's good though. Good work. And, we need it. Getting in better shape. So it's good for us.
Now, one of the biggest question marks for the Eagles this year has obviously been their linebacker play. And while Nakobe Dean, he's struggling in pass coverage, Zach Bond looks promising, but obviously very unknown. A lot of Eagle fans' hopes kind of rest on Devin White, hopefully reverting back to being the all-world linebacker Super Bowl champion he was a couple years ago with the Bucs. If you're like me, you still probably have some doubts. You need to actually see it on the football field. Although he was on the Pivot podcast yesterday, and watch these clips of Devin White and try and convince me you aren't excited to see him in Eagles green.
Rather taking such and such with another team that don't have the pieces around to even allow me to become even better. You come here, you got Jordan Davis, you got Jalen Carter, you got Bryce Huff, you got Josh Sweat, guys up front that's really holding it down. And if when the practice
lay on the backside,
that's what I'm trying to tell you. So it's like it's pieces here. So it's like, and another thing I looked at it like, man, if I come here and be a dominant middle linebacker, they ain't never had that. And not knocking the guys that's been here before, but I know what I bring and I know what they haven't had. So if I come here and handle my business, that can turn into something long term. And it's still around a great team. Yep. The great team that's here now gonna still be here if I sign long term, or whatnot. So all that played a factor. And, obviously just, I knew I had to rebuild myself. I had to show the world again, which I don't mind doing. I told Howie, he FaceTimed me. Another reason why I was confident. He the only GM that wanted me, that FaceTimed me to talk to me like a man, didn't go through Torrey. Torrey, what's his number? I okayed him to give him my number. He FaceTimed me and he said, bro, I was once in your position before and I was the GM here. No, you don't even know it because I did, I had a downfall and I had to work my way back up. He said, you in that same position. I feel like that was God. We got the same mentality, right? That's what I'm going through right now. I was just high up. Now I'm down and now I got to come back up again. This GM just called me on FaceTime and told me we could use you here and told me his situation and felt like, man, we kind of attached in a certain way. Now, I just thought it was God. That was another reason why it was so easy to pull the trigger. I said, man, I'm coming. And then I know it's real genuine, man.
Again, signing good on a podcast doesn't guarantee you're going to be good on the football field, but sounds like he's motivated. The phone call from Howie Roseman, that's fantastic. I'm pumped to see what 45 can do this year and hoping he can turn into that great Eagles linebacker that us Eagle fans have been really yearning for a very, very long time. We have plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks. Philadelphia has a very light practice tomorrow. It's basically not a practice, kind of an easy walkthrough. And then they're going to head down to Baltimore on Friday for what should be a rainy preseason game. I doubt starters will play. We'll have the full coverage, though, of all the backups trying to win their jobs on my show and Josh's live show during the game. It's your one-stop shop to get the full rundown and listen to the Eagles play. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button and join us for Friday night, starting probably around 7:15 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Thomas Mott, hanging out on a Wednesday. This has been The Thomas Mott Show.